Good evening and welcome to the Friday Forecast. I am your host, Mr. Friday Night, Chris Brack, and I'm joined by a new panel today. Stop laughing, Joe. I'm trying to get this.
I love that, Mr. Friday Night.
I know we can.
Yeah.
Keith came up with that, and I thought, I'm sticking with that one. That's a nice thing I've been called. So, as you can tell, he's back. Joe's back. I can't think why he's back. Oh, that's right. It's Liverpool Leeds. That's why he's appeared. After his fantastic heel turn 2 weeks ago, Conan is back to see if he can try and wind up the chat even more, which is still the funniest thing I've heard a guest do yet in this show. And he's back. He's done it once, so we thought we'd bring Paul back. How are we, Paul?
All good, mate. All good. Glad to be becoming part of the furniture around here, you know.
Yeah, don't get too comfy. Right, bit of admin before we start kick right into it. So we're still on the race to 10K. We're over the 9,000 mark now, which is fantastic. So as soon as we get to 10,000 subscribers, we will be giving away a PS5 with the latest FIFA game, FIFA 21. So if you're into your game, and there's one for you. So tell friends, tell family. It really helps. Smash the like button, and helps grow the channel. As we've already mentioned, the website lfcdt.com is live. So loads of good stuff on there. Link to our Discord group, which is hopping, and you can jump in there. That's where we get ideas for the shows. You can give feedback and say what you want. I've had plenty of feedback that I need to wear a retro shirt every week. So, that's my wages gone completely. But also the option there is if you want to write about football, just the links in the website. Send us in your articles. It can be Liverpool related. It cannot be Liverpool related. We've had stuff about how it's helped people's mental health. We've had stuff about the fall of Italian football. If you want to write something, send it in. Literally, all we'll do is spell check it, make sure there's no ridiculously grammar mistakes, and then we'll put it up for you. And it gives you an opportunity if you want to write. If you've never done it before, there's your opportunity for you. And last but not least, we are still trying to raise money for Keane. And I think we're at $87,000 now for him. So we're almost there at the 100K. So if you can, keep putting your bids in for it. Not bids, donations, wrong word, on the Just Giving page. Right. That's me admin done. So I can stop talking about it now. So first game, we are going to cover the FA Cup, but we'll delay that for a little bit. Let's talk about, if you're a Liverpool fan, probably one of the big games of the weekend, Newcastle versus West Ham, the surprise package that won't go away and is sticking around like a sore penny, a bit like Steve Bruce. Joe, how are you seeing this one?
I think this is where West Ham come unstuck, I've got
Love it.
Do you know just when you get them feelings that, this is the one. They've scored 9 in 3 games against some top sides. I know they let a 3-0 lead West Ham against Arsenal, but they beat Leicester, they beat Wolves, and scoring 9 goals in doing so. Lingard's on fire. But I've just got a sneaky suspicion that Steve Bruce is gonna put a little stumbling block in the road, mate. If I'm honest, do you want my score prediction?
I will hold that back. Red Steve's obviously pleased to see you. My favourite fan at the moment. Conan, how are you seeing this?
Thanks for having me on again, Mr. Friday Night.
It's no problem, mate.
Do you know when you said the surprise package that won't go away? I thought you were talking about Newcastle in the Premier League.
He's off already.
Oh, love it. That's why we have him on every week. He's great.
I can't back Newcastle. Given what I've been through with Steve Bruce at Aston Villa, the nicest man in football, but the most reductive man in football. I remember actually, we were watching a Villa game here, Villa against Newcastle, and I was explaining to my girlfriend about the whole cabbage throwing incident about Steve Bruce. She's not really interested in football, and then it cut to Steve Bruce, and she went, "Oh, he does look like a cabbage, actually." And I was like, no, that's not. They threw a cabbage at him. It wasn't that he looked like a cabbage. But that's completely off topic. I think I can't see Newcastle getting anything out of this. I can only see West Ham and David Moyes continuing to go. I've got 2-0 for it, and I've got a Lingard hat-trick and 2 assists as well.
2-0
with a hat-trick.
That's some swerve, that one, if you're getting that one.
That's what Lingard's doing.
Yeah. My funny Steve Bruce story was, I think he was Wigan manager, and Liverpool fans were saying he's got a big fat head, as they do. And the funny thing was, I think Gerrard had been subbed at the time and was singing it, and Dossena turns to him and you could hear Dossena being explained to what are they singing. He said he's got a big fat head. You see Gerrard doing that, and you see Dossena look and fall off his chair laughing. So you go like, bless him. The only thing I love about Steve Bruce is he will take that, but he'll take it in good heart. As in, I've seen 2 interviews, one where he put his hood up to hide his head, and then at the end of the game said, I don't know why people say that. My mum says I've got a lovely head. Which I thought, I can't dislike the man, because whether you like him or not, he's very fun. He's very self-deprecating and goes, it's a bit of fun. I'll take it for what it is.
He's a gentleman as well. Like, it's just, I suppose I've been bitten with him before, and I'm sure Newcastle fans feel the same way.
Yeah, it's all right. We felt like that with Hodgson. I loved it when England got knocked out by Iceland, and you'd explain to your non-Liverpool fans, this is what he's like. This is what happens. Really.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah, John, we told you we're shit. We weren't lying. Look. And you're going, we're getting beat by Iceland, and he's playing 8 defenders. Welcome.
I must hold my hands up. With Hodgson, I remember accusing my Liverpool supporting best mate that he's a complete snob for not wanting Roy Hodgson, and I was sort of making the case like these managers need a break, like they need the big job, and then they'll push on. And I was wrong. I was wrong.
There you go. So the chat. So I've seen a 2-2. I think Rajiv's got 1-0 West Ham. Megan McCallion's got 3-2 Newcastle. To be fair, if Megan says it or Laura Duffy, it probably comes true, to be fair. Paul, how are you seeing this?
I am seeing this as there's always one when I do the Friday forecast. I see this as an absolute snooze fest, because you've got Rice and Antonio out for Newcastle. Sorry, for West Ham, and you've got Callum Wilson out for Newcastle, and the Steve Bruce draw factor, because even though they're unbeaten in they're unbeaten in like 8 or 9 now, is it, or something like that ridiculous? And like the vast majority of them are draws. So this has got draw written all over it for me tomorrow. And we would be remiss to talk about Steve Bruce without mentioning the amazing meme that is Steve Bruce at other people's weddings. That's a must look. If you haven't seen it, you have to look at it. It's the best football related meme thing since awkward Ashley Cole, which was one of my favorites as well. When he was at Roma and there was that awkward team photo when he wasn't quite in it, and then the photoshopped him outside like Cheryl Cole's house, and all that stuff.
It could be worse. You could be continuing to get photoshopped into your own team, which is
that is also very true. And also Steve Bruce's amazing track record as a crime novelist, which is riveting reading from first-hand experience.
Yeah. Andrew, I'm sorry, I'm not going to attempt your surname because I'll never get that right. If Bruce plays St. Maximin, they have a chance. With St. Maximin, I've seen a little bit of grief for Steve Bruce saying, why doesn't he start him? Why is he always on the bench? Any of us clever managers start him. From what I've read of St. Maximin is he's still, to this day, suffering with the COVID aftermath. And apparently when he came on, when he came on the last game and got withdrawal for them, and he did half an hour. And they said after him doing half an hour, he was done, wiped out, energy gone. So it's mad to think that, people say, they've had COVID, they'll be back in a couple of weeks. Some players, St. Max, I think Lascelles was the same. It really takes it out of them. And I think if St. Maximin was free, I think they'd be a lot higher at the pitch, because he's just that little bit of a dime and a bit of the X factor that you need. So, Paul, what score are you going for?
0-0.
0-0. Good. Conan, what was yours? It was 2-0 with some guy scoring 3. So
2-0 West Ham.
2-0 West Ham, okay. Joe?
2-1 Newcastle, mate. You've heard it here first. That's your coupon buster. 2-1 Newcastle.
I've got 2-1 West Ham. It was very begrudging because I was like, I just can't see Newcastle getting 2. But, listen, I'll be well happy if I'm wrong. Cool. Right. On to the competition that we're as a Liverpool fan, we're all crap at, the FA Cup. So we'll start with the less glamorous one. Leicester, who are in horrific form, have players who can't stick to COVID guidelines by not having a party. And Southampton, who can beat Liverpool 1-0 and then forget how to play, lose 9-0, and just makes the world even funnier. So how are we seeing this game? I'm going to start with you, Conan, because you love an FA Cup semi-final.
My only good memories are FA Cup semi-finals. I'm actually really looking forward to this game. I think Leicester and Southampton have become those exciting teams that you want to see. Like, you're not worried about them threatening too much in the upper echelons. Now, I know Leicester are threatening to do that, but reminds me almost of Villa Everton back in the day. Just a nice fixture that you want to sit down and tune in for. And I actually have this being a bit of a bonkers game just because of the way Leicester are going, and because Southampton really, like, it's a big chance for them to get into an FA Cup final. Like, their season is completely petered out a long time ago. They did well to bounce back and make sure that they weren't going to fall into any more trouble. But I have 5 goals in this game, none of them from Jesse Lingard. But I have 3-2 for Leicester, and I actually think it's a good chance for Leicester to sort of maybe get back on track. Like, it looked like that they were just going to just keep falling off a cliff like they did last season. But I think if they can win this, get into the FA Cup final, that's obviously great. And then their next 4 fixtures are very kind, and 3 of them are at home. And I know we'll talk about 2 of them coming up as well. And, like, it's just, I think this is a big chance for them to sort of get their Premier League back on track as well.
Good. So, Joe, how are you seeing this? It's going to be Leicester's first chance to get back in the FA Cup, I believe, since the 70s. And Southampton, I think it's the early 2000s when they got beat by Arsenal. So how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because we had a Leicester fan. We have a regular Leicester fan on our Friday night show, and we asked him the question, would he rather get top 4 or win an FA Cup? And he said top 4, which really surprised me because it's all about trophies at the end of the day, and it come the end of the season. But I suppose that's where they want to be. They want to be mixing it with the big boys. But Brendan looks like he's having his yearly drop off, as Gav, always used to say. Look, I think they'll have too much for Southampton. I think I've also heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently the players aren't too keen on Ralph now. There's been a bit of a falling out. They're not playing for him, etc. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but you never know. I think it was quite funny because my feelings on Harston Hootle, Rabbit Hutch, whatever you want to say, is that he's got far too much praise for me. They were top at league. He went to Liverpool. He started crying, which I thought was really tin pot, personally. They then went and lost 10 in like 12 games in the league, dropped like a stone. And I all it is because I hear the rhetoric all the time. Oh, he's great. The Alpine Klopp, he's the next best thing. Well, hang on a minute. Where are Southampton? What they're doing in the league?
They're going down the Alpine.
This is what it's about. Hey?
They're going down the Alpine at the moment.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I think he's getting far too much praise. It's always the board's fault or he's not backed, but ultimately you can only do what's in front of you. And he's got Danny Ings, for God's sake. Anyway, back to the game. I think Leicester will have too much for them in this tie. If what's being said about the players, you could have another hammering on your hands if they have actually down tools for Ralph. But wait and see. But yeah, I think Leicester will have too much for them on the day, mate. And I expect Leicester to get into that FA Cup final.
Cool. Paul, will Leicester's bad 5, as they say, will 4 of them come back into the squad? Obviously, Harvey Barnes can't because he's still injured. But do you think he will still put in the likes of Maddison? Or do you think they'll stick with the discipline route of, no, you've broken the rules that we've set. You're missing out on an FA Cup semi-final. Will they actually do a big enough decision like that?
I don't think so. I think, morality in football is often a very short-lived thing. Let's be completely honest, and it's a massive game for both teams, isn't it, to earn the right to get battered by City in the final. Let's be honest. So it's they're going to do everything they can.
Don't give away the other game, mate.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't see anyone else. But there's my prediction right there. But anyway, I'll get me coat. I think Leicester in this one as well. They will have a little bit too much, regardless of whether or not the rule breakers come back in, because Iheanacho is in a lot of form at the moment and he's looking very good. So I think they're going to have too much of Southampton as well. And again, I very much agree with what Joe's saying. It's the rhetoric, isn't it? We were talking about that with Hodgson and stuff like that as well, where it's like you get the media darlings. We're obviously going to talk a bit about that a bit later on as well. These managers that get falsely sort of elevated, basically what we were calling him on Harston Huttle on a previous show, like we call him the farm foods Klopp rather than the Alpine Klopp. That's exactly what he is. He's someone you find in the middle of aisle of farm foods, basically. So, yeah, I mean, obviously they've got Ings and they've got a couple of other decent players, Southampton, but they look very, very disjointed to me. And I think Leicester's going to have too much regardless of who plays.
Okay, so what score are you going for?
I'm going to go for 2-0. Iheanacho double.
Okay. Joe, what score are you going for?
I'm going 3-1, mate. 3-1.
And Conan, what are you going for?
I've got 3-2 Leicester. Yeah, Brendan Rodgers can't help himself, can he? Like, it's just things start to go well for him, and you think, do you know what? Actually, he is a good coach. We all have to admit it. And like we say, like at the end of every season, there's just something. I saw like in the Athletic before the weekend's games. Did you see that article? Brendan Rodgers rules for success, and he has a whole expose into his office and all these motivational guide for what makes a person successful in life, not just football. And it's like, just shut the fuck up and get to the end of the season for once, will you? Like, but he can't help himself.
Yeah, I mean, I've got Leicester 2-1 after extra time because I've just got it in my head, and Conan will know, I've seen Brendan Rodgers in semi-finals, and he has the Pep Guardiolas about him, and he'll overthink something. For no apparent reason, he'll just overthink it. I do think they've got more than what Southampton have got, so I think they'll get through, but I've got a feeling Leicester might make it just that bit more difficult for themselves when they don't need to, which is very Brendan Rodgers. So I'm going 2-1, but after extra time. Right, a couple of quick fire ones. Joe's favourite team. So we'll go Sheffield United, Wolves versus Sheffield United. What are you saying, Joe?
2-0 Wolves.
2-0 Wolves. Conan?
1-0 Wolves.
Paul?
1-0 Wolves.
I've got 2-1 Wolves. Arsenal versus Fulham. Joe, sorry. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. Paul?
3-0 Arsenal.
Conan?
I have 4-1 Arsenal.
4. I've got 3-1 Arsenal. I mean, normally after Europa League games, most clubs tend to struggle. Don't know why, but we do. But I just assume Arsenal will just still see past Fulham. And then last one for the quick fires at the moment, Man United versus Burnley. Joe?
3-0 Man United.
No chance of Burnley then?
Nah, I can't see it. Unfortunately, I mean, I'd love Dyche to go get a 1-0 win, but I just can't see it.
Okay. Conan?
3-0 Man United. Yeah.
Okay, Paul?
Yeah, 2-0 United, especially if Burnley are missing Nick Pope. They haven't got a chance.
Oh, is he injured, is he?
He is, yeah.
Okay, I've got 3-1 to Man United because it's just what we do. That's why the second they keep beating the dross around below them. Cool. Right. Next big game then is the other FA Cup semi-final, which we already know what Paul thinks. So it's Champions League semi-finalist Chelsea against Champions League semi-finalist Man City. Conan, how are you seeing this? Are we having 4 goals from City and five goal scorers?
No, actually, I see this as a bit more of a tight tactical battle. Just sort of what we're saying about Brendan Rodgers overthinking things. Like Pep does that, like you say, and I think Tuchel will rightly be cautious because he's coming in against Man City, who could pick 11 of 25 class players, so it's going to be in their nature to set up a bit more defensively, and I think it suits them as well, just to sort of keep games tight, and they're doing a hell of a job at it. I was thinking about this match, and obviously they're both in the Champions League semi-finals now. Two of the standout English teams, not the standout English teams, but geez, Frank Lampard didn't really age well, did he? The whole we talk about media darlings and Ralph Hasenhüttl. Remember Harry Redknapp went on to Talk Sport, and he was backing up Frank, saying that he didn't pick any of these players. He didn't want the German lads there. The only people he wanted was Chilwell. A few months later, and Tuchel has these boys playing exactly like we knew they could play all along. Like a decent manager, hasn't had a lot of time. He's just setting up a good team and doing well with them. But that's a really bad way of setting up me saying I think Man City will win a tight game.
Right, so what score are you going?
1-0.
1-0. Joe?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's Tommy Tuchel's first real test. I know they beat Atletico Madrid, but Porto's it's an easy tie, really. So it'd be interesting to see how both go at this game. I think it could end up being a bit of a bore fest, maybe. I'm not sure, but I'm just interested to see how he sets them up against Pep. Like Paul said, I mean, City, unless you're Leeds United, of course, but City are just unbeatable at the minute, aren't they? Unless you've got Stewie D, you know what I mean? Stuart Dallas, the king. But no, listen, secretly, I want City to do the quadruple because the only team to not be beaten by City this season is Leeds United. Everyone else has been beaten by them in the Premier League. So it'd be nice to have that. Well, they didn't beat us in the quadruple winning season, but there you go. But no, I'm really...
trophy for that, Joe,
Hey?
You don't get a trophy or a medal for that.
Mate, we've got to die now. We've waited 16 years. That's a big thing, man. That's a big thing. We can add to it beating Liverpool on Monday as well.
T-shirts out tomorrow.
Exactly, yeah. Cups and that. We've started designing them.
They should not putting DVDs out like Everton do every time they get a draw at like Old Trafford or something.
No, it was great. To be fair, I had to shoehorn it in there somewhere.
Of course you had to.
Yeah, to be fair, I remember the days when we used to release DVDs for beating Man United. Wasn't that long ago, sadly. Paul, what have you got for this game? Well, obviously, we know you've got a City win, so
Yeah. But what I've got about this game is I think it is going to be tight. I agree with Conan on that. I think it's going to be 2-1 to City, but I also think this might be slightly controversial. I actually think this is going to laterly be looked at as a Champions League final dress rehearsal.
Oh, controversial. Well, I've got me lunatic head on. I've gone 2-1 Chelsea. Christ knows why. I just always feel every time City talks about this quadruple, something creeps up.
Yeah,
and I still think Pep has got the overthinking mentality. Plus, I know all their focus now is on the Champions League. We blame them. It's the one competition they really want. So I've got a 2-1 to Chelsea. Probably wrong. Won't be the first time. I think my predictions are crap at the moment. Right, let's quickfire round. Back to Chelsea. So on Tuesday night, they are playing Brighton at home. Paul, what have you got for this?
I've got 2-0 Chelsea.
Ditto, so have I. Conan, what have you got?
I have 1-0 Chelsea, just a midweek game to slog it out and get through it and move on.
Cool. Joe, what have you got?
I've got 2-0 as well, lads.
Cool. Sticking with you, Joe, then. We've also got Spurs against Southampton. So Spurs drew 2-2 tonight. Spoiler, if anyone didn't know. Against Southampton, who are probably going to get knocked out of the FA Cup, on my prediction. Or looking forward to an FA Cup. So what we think for Spurs versus Southampton?
I know they're woeful, but although Harry Kane's just gone off injured, hasn't he? He went off injured at the end of the game.
Yeah, the only person upset with that is Paul because his fantasy points.
He did. I hope it's not bad just for England, man, to be fair. But 2-0 to Spurs, mate. They'll have too much for Southampton. Southampton and dross.
Okay. Conan, what have you got?
I've got 1-1. Spurs take the lead and Southampton to score late in the last 10 minutes and peg them back like every team does.
Lovely. Paul, what have you got, mate?
I've got 3-0 Spurs, a miraculous biblical healing of Harry Kane where he comes on for a hat-trick so he can rack up those triple captain points in my FPL team and not for England because I couldn't give a shit about them.
Okay. Jolly good. I have 2-1 Spurs. For Abbo in the chat, no, I didn't say the word you thought I said. And Villa versus City, also on the Wednesday night. So, Joe, what have you got? Villa City?
3-1 City.
Cool.
Sorry, Conan.
Oh, you didn't need to clarify which team you were talking about.
I was like,
when's
okay.
Jack back? Jack's not back, is he? Mr.
No,
Grealish.
No,
definitely lost him.
No. Paul, what have you got for Villa?
I've got 2-1 to City, but it's going to be an absolute another Herculean performance from Emi Martinez, who for me is the best keeper in the league this season.
Until he faces Trent. I also have 2-1 to City. But, Grealish is just saving himself for the move to Liverpool in the summer. That's what it is. Sorry, Conan, I thought you were here. What have you got for this game?
I feel like every time I'm on, you try to slip that under the fence and move on to a different topic. Then
well, I've moved on to trying to buy Conser now because I've just realised Liverpool need centre backs as well. So Conser's quite good. I was a bit gutted he's signing a new contract.
If he's trying to slip this in the way he slipped into that vintage shirt tonight, then he's not having much luck, is he?
Listen, I got sewed into this.
I've covered and buttered and lowered into it.
Enough of your fantasies. Enough of your fantasies.
Oh, mate.
Right, let's put you off, Conan. Here you go. Amo has got 1-1. There you go. One positive, one for Villa.
Wow. I would bite your hand off for 1-1 and the 2-1 defeat that you guys are predicting there. Do you know, Joe, that Leeds are the only team that Villa have beaten without Grealish? Like that's.
You have to get out back in.
And it was a terrible performance as well. It was just one of those games where you couldn't hit a barn door, and you kept slipping on your arses in Ellen Road as well.
Yeah, it's shocking. Yeah,
that suited Villa because Villa weren't looking to play football that day, and Leeds were just falling all over the place. I have 2-0 City. I think it's going to be very comfortable. I think Villa are good defensively, but City will eventually break them down, and once they get 2-0 up, they'll take their foot off the gas. Villa will play well then the last 20 minutes, and a lot of our fan base will be excited about that, but it won't mean anything in reality.
Jolly good. And the last one we have is the Thursday night game, Leicester at home to West Brom. Stick with you, Conan.
I've got 3-1 West Brom. Or 3-1 Leicester.
3-1 West Brom. We'll take your first answer. Joe, what have you got?
I can't. Do you know what? I'm gonna go for West Brom. I am. Leicester's league form continuing to take a hit. West Brom, some good results of late. 2-1 West Brom.
2-1 West Brom. Okay, yeah. Paul.
I'll tell you what the problem with Brendan Rodgers is. He's left that massive self-portrait of himself in that house that Jurgen Klopp now lives in. Did you ever see that on that Being Liverpool documentary? Brilliant. He had this massive Obama 2008 style mural of himself as he walked through his own front door. Behave, mate.
Really?
I've seen
the one you've got in your gaff as well.
Well, mate, but
Brendan Rodgers.
Well, no, it's one of me. I've got to keep the dog off the fire somehow. Do you know what I mean? But then the other thing, like, remember that quote about him running around the streets of Liverpool and he could smell the mint cooking through the windows and all that. Like, give it a break, mate. Give it a break. Anyway, that's a really long and stupid way of saying Leicester's form's falling apart. Their own form's terrible this season anyway. So I'm going to go West Brom. I'm going to go 2-1 West Brom.
Cool. I have a 2-2. Again, West Brom. Sadly, with Sam Allardyce are hitting form when we really didn't want them to, and Leicester seem to be doing what they did last year. So it seems to be a bit of a repeat at the moment. So I've got them dropping points again. Right. So before we go on to the Liverpool game, a subject that came up after the Villa game, and actually it wasn't brought up by any Liverpool podcast. It was brought up by a Villa podcast. Conan, you were talking about Trent's winner. And the banter reply from Jamie Carragher to his about the goal, which as a Liverpool fan, I was like, it's a good goal. You've just spoiled the commentary of a good goal to have banter with your mate. And I'm a bit like, that's not really what you're paid to do. So I want to say, what do we think of the state of punditry? Because I have opinions on Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. I have big opinions on the myth that is Jamie Redknapp, but we'll come into that in a minute. So Conan, we'll start with you because in fairness, you brought this up.
Yeah, like I can't believe that there's so many elements to it. Like in real time, right? You're watching not only an absolutely cracking goal, like unbelievable finish. We've all seen the angles, and then you remove it from that and you go to the fact that it's the 91st minute. It's a game winner. It's a game that looked like Liverpool had just sort of petered out in, and Trent Alexander-Arnold stepped up. You remove from that one further, and it's at Anfield where they haven't won in 8 games. They were barely scoring. And then on top of all that, it's like it's a potentially season-defining moment, not just for Trent, but for Liverpool. It could potentially be an iconic goal. Now, I know Liverpool have had way more iconic moments, but if that sparks them getting in or basically keeps their momentum going into the top 4, like that goal ranks so highly, like in terms of skill, execution, bravery, and in terms of the importance of it. And I just could not believe that in the heat of the moment, when you've just watched all that stuff that I'm talking about in front of you, game-changing moment, season-changing moment, and all Jamie Carragher can think of straight away is, remember that argument I was having with Neville 6 days ago? And it's like, mate, like this is Villa against Liverpool as well. Imagine the amount of people tuning in for that. You know, like I'd say easily the majority of them don't have a clue what he's talking about. Like, you know, the Monday Night Football. Like, how big is your, I don't want to say ego, like, but how big is the perception of yourself and that little argument that you're having with Gary Neville that you just assume that everybody knows what you're talking about? Like, I'd say that there were people thinking, what is he going on about when he said, "Are you watching Gary Neville?" And I just thought, really poor piece of commentary fundamentally, but also just pointless. Like, you know, I don't mind a bit of back and forward between banters, but I thought that just did a disservice to such. Like, and I say this as a Villa fan as well, but it was obvious it was a piece of genius. And like, you know, you have to hold your hands up and say, you know, Liverpool deserve to win anyway, but they also deserve to win because they have a player who could do that. Never mind then Trent's own individual sort of battles as well to try and shut some critics up, which is including Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. But to go to that, like just that sort of petty little argument, I thought this has gone too far. And I thought it was sort of just, it typified Sky indulging this argument as well, and this sort of Liverpool v United relentless onslaught that we're faced with. And I know Liverpool and United fans don't even care about it either, and it just seems like that's what they think. They're always thinking about their YouTube channel, you know, just that little emoji that they can put beside a headline, and it's Carragher v Neville all the time. And to be honest, I think sometimes Neville can come off a bit better than Carragher in this, but I don't think he's much better either. There was a moment in that argument that they were having where he referred back to his own career then. Like Carragher was right. He said, like, why are England always afraid to play football and take teams on? I thought it was a good point. And Neville said, hey, I've played with United for 20 years. You know, I know what it's like to take teams on. You know, and that's just a little dig that I was with United, but it's so pointless.
He did say that, and then within the next sentence says, but we'll never have the ball, we'll never compete, we'll never be able to do this, so we need to think about how we can defend. And you went, there's the flip. As in, like, yeah, you were successful at United, but your thoughts of England is we ain't good enough.
Yeah.
And that's not how, to me, as an international manager with the players England have had, you shouldn't think like that. I'd rather England, if I was giving a shit about England, I'd rather they actually went a bit ballsy and went, do you know what, we're just going to go for it.
Yeah.
And do you know what, most people will go, I'd rather you went for it than just this dire straits. But Joe, I mean, I don't know what your view is. I mean, the example I can give is Dallas's last minute winner against City. The commentary was brilliant for it. It was just like, can you believe it? You know, City have got beat because City don't lose at home. Can you imagine if this went, it was Neville, he said, Dallas, are you watching Carragher? What you said about Bielsa? You'd be like, I don't give a shit what you said about Bielsa. I've just scored the winning goal. I think, you know.
To be honest, just to come on, just through a Leeds fan's perspective, we've obviously had to deal with BT this season and Karen Carney coming out and saying that Leeds were promoted because of COVID, which is not true. We were on a rich vein of form. I hate to harp back, but we're speaking about commentary and punditry and people not doing their homework and making statements that aren't necessarily true. So we had that, you know, on BT for 2 games running, the commentator said Leeds-born Stuart Dallas. He's Northern Irish. So not only did they make the mistake once, and obviously Leeds Twitter went into meltdown, and it's actually a funny joke now, you know what I mean? Like, the lads went away on England duty and Stuart Dallas replied to the tweet, see you there, boys, you know? But not only did they do it once, the second game, they also did it again. So it just shows how they just don't put any work in, you know what I mean? Leeds, new team up. It's that same rhetoric about the Bielsa burnout, that sort of stuff. Well, how were they burning out last week? A 10-man against Man City. We've only got, 8 games left? They're not burning out. But it's an easy rhetoric to throw. You know, they don't do enough homework and they get paid big bucks for it, and it's not on. Yeah. And I agree with your man's comment about Ali McCoist. We were on Amazon the other week. Ali is absolutely fantastic. The best I've heard. And I think Amazon's coverage on a whole has been pretty exceptional, to be fair. So it's good to see other other broadcasters coming up. It's just whether or not they have the financial clout to take some of it away from Sky and BT. But I do the whole BT stuff. Karen Carney, the Stuart Dallas being Leeds born. It's lazy. It pisses me off, to be honest.
I mean, I still remember. Paul, remember this? We played Sheffield United. Adrian in goal 5 times in the game. They went, "Oh, he's looking a bit shaky there, Alisson. He did well there." I'm going, he did well. He sat in Liverpool. I don't know how. I don't know how he's still. Another clean sheet for Alisson. And they don't even look alike. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, we'll get onto other pundits because I think there are certain pundits now that are stale and past the best. And I'm not talking about the likes of Keane and Souness because I actually think they do bring points as long as they have like a Mika Richards next to them who is a bit more lively, obviously just retired, and gives a bit of energy. Ali McCoy, to me, he sounds like a child watching football. What I mean by that is he just shows the joy of, that skill. Oh, the way he's played that, as a striker, I do this. And he always talks about what he would do as a striker. He never talks about goalkeepers. He doesn't really defend. And he always says, well, if I'm a striker, I pull off there. And you go, right, okay, I know what you mean now, because it's relating to what he knows. He doesn't talk about what midfielders should do. He doesn't talk about doesn't play his positions. So he keeps his mouth shut. Paul, where are you with commentary? I know it's your favourite subject.
Well, it's one of my favourite subjects, but honestly, the state of punditry in the Premier League is absolutely beyond piss poor. It's just unreal how bad it is. And I get to see a range of it because, in fact, like if I get the choice of like being able to get a stream from like, say, NBC in America, I mean, it shows you how bad it is. Like I would rather listen to Robbie Earle than anyone on Sky. Quite frankly, like, because at least you know what you're going to get. And I've got to say, like, commentary pairings, like, America and the other countries are very, very lucky. I mean, I watched the Madrid game through through a stream on Tuesday, and it was CBS Sports. And you got to see the Jamie Carragher when he's not trying to be professional Gary Neville agitator Jamie Carragher, because he was actually he does the CBS games with Micah Richards, and he's completely different. And then you get in the box, and who's commentating? Rob Green, who is massively underrated as a pundit, because every time I've heard Rob Green either commentate or talk about football on like BBC podcasts and stuff, I learn something about the art of goalkeeping.
Yeah,
because he's got a lot of insight about how goalkeeping. And the other guy I've got to throw in on this, because I'll throw it out to some other people who I really respect to give some contrast here. David Priest, who does a lot of like the Totally Football stuff and Football Weekly with The Guardian and stuff. I've learned more about goalkeeping listening to them in the last year than I have done in the last 10 to 15 years of actually watching the game. And it shows just how poor the punditry is. It's clickbait commentary. It's clickbait punditry. It's, as Conan said, it's let's get a load of views on 2 people having a row on the Sky Sports YouTube channel, and you learn nothing about the game. Like, for example, like imagine, like, because I'm going to present a bit of a nerd's perspective here, because I'm a football nerd. I love tactics. I love learning about the game, and I learn more listening to and reading the likes of Michael Cox in The Athletic than I do from anything that any of the broadcasters present, because it's all about pumping ratings at the end of the day. The last time I have seen anyone give even remotely a tactical masterclass in punditry was that one time on Monday Night Football when they invited Jurgen Klopp on. And Jurgen Klopp presented a masterclass not only in explaining tactical systems in a way that even the layman can understand. He actually delivered a masterclass in punditry, because he's very, very well known for it in Germany. He did a World Cup, I believe, like a long time ago, and absolutely just took the imagination of the whole nation of Germany over. And it's like, well, where are these people? Where are these people who can actually explain the game and give me an insight into something that I don't already know? Where, as Joe's saying, like, I'm having to like sit there and like understand that a player is like from where he's actually from, not where you're telling me he's from. Like, it's mind blowing. I don't know what's worse, the state of commentating and refereeing in this country. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right in the Rob Green stuff, because I mean, Sky even tries to bury him with the let's talk about your England mistake, which I thought, Christ, he's walked on, and the first thing he'll do is talk about his worst moment in his career. And in fairness to him, he went through the technical aspect. And he ultimately just turned around and said, but also said, it's a routine save. I should just catch the ball. And he just went there. He goes, I can give you all the excuses. Said, it's a routine. I should catch the ball. I got my hands in the wrong position. It's a routine save that I've done all my life. But these are the hand positions I should be in. But he's interesting because I hate it when outfield players try and tell me what a goalkeeper should do. Because I don't know how you'd know. Mick Moran from Cop Ice, if you get a chance to watch their stuff, it's really, really good. Matt Manaman's saying glorious isolation every game is a laugh. He seems to, it's like his static new phrase. Because the problem is for some players like Matt Manaman is he was a great player. But most people now don't realise Matt Manaman was a great player. They just think he's this muppet on BT who's really irritating. My big bee in my bonnet I have is I get annoyed with commentators like a Jamie Redknapp, who was the pretty boy. To me, he was there because he was the pretty boy. But the stuff he comes out with is politely, I could hear that in the pub. And if I'm paying 30 quid a month for Sky, I want to hear a bit more insight than what I can hear in a pub. Because to be nice plus way, if we said this sort of stuff, we're a fan meeting, we're free. So if we say stuff that you hear in a pub, that's kind of what we're here for. But he just comes out with, they just want it more. And, if they just play nicer football, we'd want it. And you're like going, the professional footballers, they want it more. Doesn't really cut it. Back in the Jamie Carragher word, the other reason he's so good on CBS is he has an anchor in Alex Scott who also won't take any crap off him. And she lets him have his free reign to a point.
Isn't it Kate Abdo?
Alex Scott does Champions League as well. So they flip between the two. But Alex Scott or Kate Abdo both let him and Michael Richards have the fun, but then bring them back a bit like a teacher. But someone like an Alex Scott, who to me I think is just going to get the show on BBC now, Football Focus, is it? He's someone who, to me, when I've seen her on telly, she's done her research. It's just like, but she's someone who does the research but doesn't go, look at all this research does, and she reels off every single stat that she's learned, which some commentators do. She just does her research and then picks out the key points. Why are Arsenal doing this? Oh, it's because defensively they don't line up in a certain way, and the reason they don't line up in that way is because the fullback is 2 yards too deep. We've had that for the last 3 games. That's why all their goals are conceded over the guy's right shoulder.
Do you know
that's hours of research? You go, but it's one sentence, but to me and you go, oh, I get that. Like if you said to me, Wan-Bissaka, my punditry about Wan-Bissaka is 1-on-1. He's fantastic. You can't beat him 1-on-1. But what he lacks to me is spatial awareness. And that's why United concede so many goals between Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka is he doesn't see the runner coming over his shoulder. He doesn't. And that's why he gets caught out. But he's 21, so he's got to learn that. Whereas Trent, to me, is very good at looking at what's over his shoulder. But 1-on-1, he's still a bit naive and lets players cutting on the stronger foot too much. Now, that's me, a guy who gets paid nothing. But I've got that from watching 4 or 5 games and, scribbling a couple of notes down. Sorry, Joe, you were saying...
No, it's just something funny actually the other day. I was listening to, and this is the worst, by the way, so don't judge, but I was listening to Talk Sport.
Get off.
Oh, yeah, and the funny thing, I was in the shower, I put it on, and it was like, Haaland will not go to City and Chelsea, right, coming up, and this is why. And the 2 clips, one was Gabby Agbonlahor, one was Jamie O'Hara, and I went, all right, yeah, okay, that's signed, sealed, and delivered. Then that's why it just made me laugh. But that was there. Yeah, that TalkSpot's really bad for it, but really bad.
Oh, it's it's the tabloid. It's the tabloid of radio stations. That's what they do.
Yeah. But look, Sky, innit? I think they of Sky. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying to give you an opinion of football. You had to have been a Steven Gerrard, a Frank Lampard, a Wayne Rooney. You don't, because actually sometimes the greatest players are always the most interesting. Someone like a Rob Green is interesting because he's been the ultimate high of playing for England and the ultimate low of cocking up in a World Cup. But he can talk about that. He knows what it's like to move. Like Carragher, Neville, as good as they were, they have no idea what it's like to move a club. They have no idea what it's like to be on your wits' end or knowing if you're in the squad or not and how you motivate yourself to get into a squad. That's really hard. Stephen Warnock's really interesting for that because he talks about how he basically went from being in the Champions League final bench to not even in the squad to then having his move to Blackburn cancelled on the day because the director of the club got the details wrong and didn't tell Rafa. And his greeting from Rafa was, "What are you doing here? I thought you were in Blackburn." But he will talk about what does that do to you for the next 6 months to play it? How do How do you recover? How do you focus your mind? Because none of us could do that. That's more interesting if they do the research. I don't care what your past career was. If you do your research, fine. Like Robbie Earle, not the greatest career, but he does his research and he's interested. So I'll listen to him.
I'll tell you what's interesting as well. There's a couple I'd like to mention there. One of my favourite bits of punditry was delivered by who I think is the best female pundit in the game, Eni Aluko. Like she did a game at the last World Cup with Patrice Evra. I think it was a France-Italy game or something like that, and she blew him clean out the water. She was amazing. Like she was actually doing the whole thing with the replays and like, yeah, stop that there, and this is this and this is that. And she explained herself so unbelievably perfectly. It was phenomenal. Like I learned like 3 or 4 things about the game, and it really, really made a difference. Out of those types of pundits who are a little bit underrated, one of my most underrated ones is Nadim Anua. He does a lot of stuff with BT Sport. ESPN, and he does a lot of stuff with the BBC 5 Live, and listening to his journey as a pro, and like they were speaking the other week about like, what it's like to be bombed out at a club and, not be allowed to train with everybody else and stuff. And obviously, he'd been there, seen it and done it. And apparently he's got a few tasty stories about Robinho and his nightlife habits during his time at Man City as well. So he's amazing. And every time I've heard Nadim speak recently, it's been interesting, it's been insightful, and it's been really intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, another one who I'm not saying it's because he's appeared on Trippers, but Neil Mellor has a different view because he is a footballer who retired at 28. So he is basically at 28, had to build himself a new career. Because I used to joke, Christ, Neil Mellor's on every channel. Because he did seem to be on Sky and BT all the time. But he's done his research, but he does everything from Premier League, Champions League to League One. Mm-hmm. He does, and and you could tell when he talks, he knows what it's like. And the good thing for Neil Mellor is he's played from League One up to Champions League, so he can give you the different views of physically what it's like to play in League One. Yeah. So sometimes League One isn't about the best technical ability; it is a bit more physicality. I know that sounds very old school, but speak to people who've played in League One, that's what it is. Whereas Championship isn't. Championship, although it's pace and power, and Joe will know more than most, there's still a lot of technical ability needed to get out the Championship. It isn't all just about being big and physical. That's Championship of 15 years ago. But listen to some pundits, they'll just tell you, oh, it's horrible in the Championship. You just have to grind it out. It's just alehouse balls like Stoke every week. And you're thinking, I've watched the Championship. It's not like that every week. Joe will correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it is. No, so that's what I mean. That's where I'm at with Punditry. I just feel it's a laser, and I don't know how you can improve it. I mean, I think some of the female pundits coming into the game, I think some of the younger pundits like Mika Richards coming into the game is freshening it up. Just for me, it doesn't freshen it up quick enough. I think some of the older guard need a bit of a rocket, and they actually need someone like to compete with the Neville and the Carragers, who are people who go, I'm actually going to turn to BT and I'm going to watch BT's version of Monday Night Football because it's just a bit more interesting. It's a different way of analysing it, and I think that's what they need. But until they get the kick up the ball, it is absolutely never gonna happen, in my opinion. But that's where we are. Right, enough of the serious stuff. Let's get to the big one. That's the reason Joe's here. That's the reason I'm here. Leeds versus Liverpool, the big game for us on Monday Night Football. So no doubt we'll have to listen to Carragher and Neville talk about Bielsa's team's getting too tired and Klopp's team losing the mentality because having defenders missing doesn't count. So Conan, as the neutral in this, how are you seeing this game?
Yeah, I think it's going to. It's a really tough one to call. I think it's going to be a real tough battle for Liverpool. Ever since that Villa game I talk about, Joe, and I do mention it, knowing that Leeds were the better team that day. Leeds have been great. They won the last 3 games, and the game before that they drew with Chelsea. Beat City, as Joe says. They're going well. There is an opportunity here, I think, because Leeds are so mental in how they approach games. And I don't mean they're not stupid, but they're all when they go, they go. Everybody goes. It's exciting. It's adventurous. It's hard to work with. But I think if ever there was an opportunity for Liverpool to get a bit of space for Salah and Mane, Liverpool to play a certain way, and I don't think they will. So I think it'll be fine for Leeds. But if they sat in deep, I was thinking about the West Ham away game that Liverpool had. Remember that ball from Trent to Shaqiri to Salah? An unbelievable goal. Just sliced him open. Brilliant skill from everyone and brilliant vision. So fast and direct. And it gave Salah that sort of space that we've been used to seeing him in. Manny needs that space now at the minute, considering how he's playing. And if I was Klopp, and look, I will admit that Klopp knows more about football than I do, but I would be sitting in a bit more and just trying to give those boys a bit of space, if for nothing else, and also just to not be caught out by how frantic Leeds can be as well. But I don't think he'll do that. I think maybe he'll go about it a different way by maybe bringing Thiago back and trying to control the game that way and control the ball and try to keep it and try to keep Leeds inside. But I think Leeds are brilliant. I think they're well coached. I think Stuart Dallas is basically what Villa fans think John McGinn is. And I hope there's no Villa fans watching. But like Stuart Dallas, and this is a guy who's been playing fullback for a lot of the season. Like, he's just brilliant. Like, and I don't say that as a Northern Ireland man just solely, but yeah, like I think it's going to be 1-1, and I think that because obviously Liverpool are going through a tough patch, Leeds aren't, and I think it's two class coaches that might just cancel each other out.
Good. So what score are you going?
1-1.
1-1. Sitting on the fence. Good. That's what I like to hear. And Joe, how are you seeing this game? I've got an idea.
No.
I mean, especially your centre backs after our show.
Yeah. Look, something's telling me draw. I take a lot of confidence from the fact that Leeds are in good form at the minute. Obviously, unbeaten in 4. A great win last weekend, which is just going to do wonders for the confidence. I look back. I took a look back at obviously that 4-3 loss that we had at the start of the season. In that game, you had Van Dijk, you had Gomez, even Matip came off the bench as well. Henderson played. None of them boys are there now. I think we already shown the trouble that we can cause Trent. That amazing goal that was scored by Jack Harrison. Turned him inside out, got round Gomez. I think there's joy to be had down that side. Rafinha didn't play either, although there's doubts over Rafinha for Leeds after Fernandinho absolutely put him in the bin when he was going to be through on goal. It was quite a nasty challenge, actually, to be fair. So that'll be disappointing. But look, the where my head's at with Leeds at the minute, and to be fair, I said it a bit tongue in cheek, at the start of the season that we could push for Europe. There's the introduction of this Europa Conference League. We're going to have probably an all-English final in Europe, which means it'll drop down to 7th. And I think there's a realistic possibility, looking at the teams that are above us, that we could get in there. We could sneak in that spot. And I think we looked at the Liverpool game in a chunk, right? We had City, Liverpool, Man United, right? For us to take anything from them games, it would have been a bonus, because we've then got some teams in the bottom half, and we've got 27 out of a possible 30 against teams in the bottom half. Only lost once to Brighton. Our record against teams in the bottom half is exceptional this season, and we've still got about 4 of them to play. So for me, it was take anything from these games. The fact we've had a great start against City, beating them on their own patch, 3 points there. Give me a draw Monday night. Give me a draw, and then we'll see what happens with Man United, because they're better away from home, and we know what happened when we beat them. When we went to their place, we were paggered. But this is the thing: there's been a definite switch from Bielsa in terms of the way we set up. We're not as cavalier as we once was. I don't see it being like that first game. There has been slight tweaks here and there. Llorente has been exceptional at centre-back. Exceptional since he's come in, Spanish international. So, yeah, Calvin. I don't know. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a very good game for the neutral. Yeah, I think we'll be all right, guys. I think this is where my mentality is now, is that the least I want is a point. And this is against Liverpool. This is the champions, I know they're not the same Liverpool last season, but that's where my head's at now as a Leeds United fan is, and the thing is as well, the pressure's on now for Liverpool. You know, I watch a lot of Liverpool. I have a lot of Liverpool fan friends due to doing this, you know. Don't know them in person, but you get what I'm saying. And there was a lot of hope of Istanbul and the Champions League. And that's, you know, forget about the league. We're going to win the Champions League. That's how we're going to get back in. Obviously, that's not happened. It's now do or die. It's 7 FA Cup finals for Liverpool. And if we start strong and score early, that pressure starts to tell. And it's a bigger game for Liverpool than it is for Leeds, like in terms of where the land might lie. So that could play into our hands as well at Ellen Road. So yeah, I'm confident, guys, but I do think 2-2, but you know, that's the least. I don't think we lose the game.
Okay. God, it's got me panicked now. Paul, how are you seeing this? I mean, I've looked at our remaining fixtures now. It's a very dangerous phrase on paper, but I've always thought on paper, look at the last 7. Man United away and Leeds away, I always thought were the 2 most difficult games. As Andrew's put, Leeds is the litmus test for Liverpool. Because I think this is a side where I don't think Leeds will sit back like everybody else has done, which actually is what's been a bit of a kryptonite for Liverpool this year. But when they attack with pace. And to be honest, that's one thing our 2 centre-backs, bless them, don't have. They're very, they're good defenders, but they aren't built for the pace of like a Rafinha, who, if I'm being brutally honest, I hope is not available for this game. So how are you seeing it, Paul?
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. And like you mentioned with the fixtures, it's very tempting to look at those things and say, well, they're all winnable. And it's like, that's exactly the same mentality we had going into a supposedly bang average Real Madrid side, who, by the way, are unbeaten in 13, top of La Liga, and beat Barcelona last weekend. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we unfortunately, not to get too critical of our own fans, but I think we've been guilty of maybe looking past teams a little bit too much this season. And we can't afford to do it, especially in this game and especially in the games that we've got remaining. So it's going to be a very, very tough game. I agree with Conan. I think we're going to try and control the game as much as we possibly can. I think we're going to need really, our pressing game is going to need to be absolutely on point, to an absolute degree of accuracy that we may have not seen this season in order to really get an advantage. Because I do think Leeds are going to leave space. As Joe's saying, they're not quite as cavalier as they used to be. They are a bit more of a balanced team. But, obviously the injury doubt to Rafinha is an interesting one. I think Bamford's maybe dropped off a little bit form-wise as well, which is, maybe a little bit of a concern for Leeds. But then, when you've got Leeds' own Dallas, banging them in left, right, and centre, then, you're not too bad. Again, he was in my fantasy team last week, so I was very happy with that as well.
Oh, nice.
So ultimately, I think it's going to be a really, really stern test. I can see us sneaking a result, but I think it's going to be one of the toughest games of the season for us. And I think it's going to be a really, really good to watch game if you're a neutral. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of attacking going on. I don't think Leeds are, I don't think they've got their flip-flops on just yet. I don't think they're really headed for the beach, and I don't think Bielsa would let that happen. No. One thing I would say to Joe, though, is that you want to avoid the Europa League like the plague. I mean... seriously, next season, if you want to stay in the Premier League, you don't want Europa League to deal with because it's tough. Look, just, Wolves struggled with it. All right, they didn't go down, but it's hard. It's a really hard thing. I mean, to be honest with you, from our side, I'd rather just not get Europe at all and not get top 4.
The only thing with the Europa thing, I've never understood why playing Thursday, Sunday is different to playing Wednesday, Saturday. I've never got my head around it. I know it's a mentality thing, but
it's more than a volume of games, though, isn't it? It's the volume of games that you've got to play in the Europa League.
In the Europa League, you only play 2 more games than you played. If you're Champions League from group stage to the end, and Europa League from group stage to the end, the difference in games is 2.
It's changed now, hasn't it? Because there's 3. You've got
the
Champions League, Europa League, and then Europa Conference. There's a third one now. It starts next season. So I don't know if that'll maybe change it up. I don't know. Maybe these less games. I'm not sure. I think it's more for the teams around Europe. I think we only get 1 spot in it. But if it's away into Europe, I'm all about living the here and now, man. I'll take it.
It's such a good point from Paul, though, and I'm not just saying this because Villa are no longer in the running for it, but I was thinking about getting into Europa League, and I thought, well, like Wolves were like the Wolves get to the quarterfinals last year, and I wasn't sure. Did anybody care? Like, did they progress as a club? And I do think, I know the fixture pile-up might not be as much, but it's generally clubs with squads who can't, deal with it as well. Like, apart from United, it's squads who are further down the pecking order who don't have as big a pick or as good a pick to choose from, so it might affect them a bit more. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I would still take it if I was Villa, but I just don't know how much it's a big draw anymore.
Yeah, I just wish they called it. Why call it the Cup Winners' Cup like it used to be Cup? Because basically that's what it is. It's the old Cup. It's the old Cup Winners. It's the old Cup Winners' Cup. So if you call it that, I think actually that has a bit more prestige. I mean, that's just what we need at the moment is more games of football. Look forward to 2024 when it's the Champions League. What is it? Guaranteed 10 games in the Champions League. Jesus Christ. Top 8 go through, the rest go into a playoff. It just sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? So what's your score prediction, Paul?
My score prediction is going to be 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay. Before I give mine, Joe, pick me your team.
Pick me the Leeds United side.
Leeds. What do you think Leeds team will be?
Yeah, so it'll be Meslier in goal, Luke Ayling right back. Cooper's obviously got a red card for last weekend, so you'll probably get Llorente and Pascal Struijk. Left back will be Gianni Alioski, Calvin just in front of him. Right hand side will be Rafinha if fit. If not, it'll be Helder Costa, which is quite a drop off. Left midfield will be Jack Harrison. You'll have Stewie Dallas in there alongside Tyler Roberts, unless Rodrigo's back, because he's touch and go as well. Although Tyler's been starting ahead of him anyway, so it'd be Tyler and then Patrick Bamford leading the line.
Good. Paul, yeah. What's your Liverpool 11?
So yeah, I've just seen something flash up there saying like Milner's going to start on Monday. I don't think he will. I don't think he's got the kind of. I mean, you know what it's like. He gets into a 3 or 4 game streak and his hamstring tends to ping. So for me, I think it's going to be Alisson in goal, or should I say, ravishing Rick Rude if the moustache comes back in time.
It's just like a bit of stubbly beard now.
Okay.
It's not as impressive now.
He's retired the Ron Jeremy look, has he? Yeah, so basically it's going to be Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Phillips, Kabak, obviously. I think you're going to get Thiago in there. I agree with Conan. You're going to get Fabinho, and I think you're going to get Ginny because I think you're going to need the legs. And then up front, I think it's going to be Jota, Mane, and Salah. I think Bobby drops to the bench.
Interesting. I think Bobby starts, and I think Manny drops to the bench. I just think he needs to. I think we've got to start getting Manny out of the team for a little bit. His work rate's good, but everything else about his game is just falling apart. I still wouldn't surprise if Milner starts, only because I think it's 4.5. It's about 4 days, isn't it, between the games? It's not as tight a turnaround. I think actually the Monday night game might do us a favour, getting an hour out.
Got a lot of miles in his legs, though.
Yeah.
I'd love him to play. I'd love him to play just because of the Leeds thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Genie's, but then as he got as many miles as Genie. I mean, to be fair, even when we're winning games 3-0, we bring Genie on for 10 minutes just to make sure he's even more knackered than he normally is. So there's only debate, I would say, it's Genie or Milner, because Keita, I don't see him playing again. And sadly for Ox, he's just not been the same this year. And sadly, I feel it feels like injuries are caught up with him, which is a shame because he's a very likable person and a very likable player. I just feel like if it's caught up with him. Shaqiri, he'll just be an impact player. If at all. And Origi, I don't know where he's gone. He's gone somewhere. The only other wild card is if Jones is fit, but I don't know how long Jones is out for. I don't know if we've heard anything if he's back or not. Only because he's been quite a lively player and something a bit direct, which we haven't got. So I also have 2-1, and I've just put grueling 2-1, which I'm probably going to hate watching. Joe will probably love it, apart from the result, because Leeds will go at you, and this is a game where I do think it's another litmus test for the two centre-backs. I thought Arsenal would have been more of a litmus test, but Leeds will keep you going and keep you going. The interesting stat I think I read about Leeds was, I think they said since Christmas, I think they have the lowest Premier League goals conceded at home, which goes against the narrative that says.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I've seen some people in the comments, Chris.
Leeds are good home, and they're not.
About the we were talking about listening to pundits and all that stuff. Someone made a comment saying, "Oh yeah, Leeds, they're all right, but against the big sides, they concede loads." That's gone. You know what I mean? It's just a rhetoric that continues to get pumped out. Like you say, conceded the least in the Premier League, but apparently we can't defend. But there you go.
Yeah, and
not annoyed or triggered by that guy's comments at all.
No, but this is my thing with the punditry thing as well. It sets a mindset in people's eyes, which is possibly where me and Paul said like Liverpool fans will look past the team. It's because some of that is influenced by what you read or what you listen to, where they go, "Oh, these are crap." And then you watch them and you're going, "These aren't crap. These aren't what we were. Yeah. This isn't what I read about." You know. And Dicko makes a good point. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame Ellen Road will not be full because it'll be a good atmosphere. I mean, as a Liverpool fan, it's probably a good thing Ellen Road's not full, because I must admit, going away to Ellen Road when it's bouncing, it's not a place you want to. It's not a nice atmosphere. It's going to be hard. It's a hard away, you know, if you know what I mean. I mean, we can say that as Anfield. I think not having a crowd there, but I think Ellen Road away, it is an atmosphere in it, and you know Sheffield United had a similar thing. So I'm quite pleased there's no crowds there.
Panel, we've all got fantastic atmospheres. To be fair, Villa Park's great as well. To be fair, so I can't wait to be back, man, because I've still not experienced that 16 years, man. I can't wait till next season.
Well, the interesting thing will be the FA Cup semi-finals, because they're the test, aren't they, for 10,000 fans. Okay. So there's the first litmus test of whether we'll get fans in place, because they're still convinced for the Euros we're going to get almost full stadiums, which I find baffling.
And they've put game week 37 back, haven't they? Yeah. To the back end of May in order to try and get 10,000 fans in all the games, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they've done it so also every team gets at least one home game then with fans. Because I think they were concerned, the likes of, if you're a Liverpool fan, you got Palace at home last game of the season, and it's a chance to get top four. Having the fans there is going to be a bit of an influence. Same with Leeds. I don't know, when's your last home game? Is it the last game of the season?
Yeah, so we had West Brom. I think the reason they changed it was football integrity, because Newcastle play Fulham the last game of the season, and that wouldn't have been fair, because that could have been a relegation last game of the season. So I think they moved the other one back, didn't they, so that everyone got at least one home game. I'm not going though. Like, I'm a season ticket holder, and if they offer me a ticket for West Brom, I've already said I'm not. I'll let someone else have it, because I don't want my first game back in the Premier League to be West Brom, who'll be relegated, and there only be 9. No, it's true though, and there only be 9,000 fans there. I'm like, do you know what? I'll wait till next season when we're at full capacity and we've got a Liverpool or something. You know,
cool. The answer, Johnson, is 6. Just.
Do you think Man City would get up to 10,000 fans once they did it?
Right. If you read the Manchester Evening News, they're dying for someone to be a rival for them. Bless them.
Oh, bless them.
Bless them. They're going to win a quadruple and nobody will care. It'll sound salty, but it's true. My mentality as a Liverpool fan was, thank Christ United aren't winning it. That's all I thought when United might win the league. Oh Christ, don't want that. Well, as soon as United could win the league, I was like, I'm not as fussed now. That's probably what it is.
Have you seen him coming out with this red advertising board stuff now?
What's this?
Have you not seen it around the ground?
No.
So all the advertising boards and the Adidas and sponsorship up to halfway up, Ollie said part of the reason for their home form has been because in them split seconds when the players have been looking over the shoulder, because the advertising have all been red, they've been getting confused. So they've now changed them all to black, thinking that that's going to improve. It was actually 25 years to the day or something as well that they'd swapped their shirts in that Southampton game. So people were like, because I made a joke, I said it's a good job they weren't black when we played them, because they might have scored 10 instead of 6. Do you know what I mean? It's just lazy. Yeah, anything to try and say. But it was stupid,
I think Paul. I seem to remember Mr. Rogers saying the reason we kept missing chances under him was because the nets were red.
Nets are red. Yeah.
We had red nets, and the guys couldn't see them. I said, yeah, it's just between the two. It's just between the posts.
Those big, massive white bits. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't miss them. Well, in Liverpool's case, we could consecutively. So that's the way it is. Right.
It'd be quite fun, wouldn't it, if they got beat by Burnley this weekend after changing them all to black? To be fair, that'd be quite fun.
That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, we couldn't see the ball. The Burnley players are in the way.
Yeah. Just wear black shirt, should be right.
Cool. So before we go, Joe, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, All Leeds TV, but also Just Joe over there, right? I've set up a new channel that's not just Leeds related. It's everything, really. I do... we have Combined 11. Chris, your man, will be on tomorrow. We've already filmed that, a Combined 11 of Leeds versus Liverpool. I've got preview shows, reviews. I do watch-alongs of all the games as well when I'm free. So it's not just Leeds related. And I know I had a lot of support from you guys before. So if you could jump over to the Just Joe Football Show and drop me a sub, that'd be greatly appreciated, please.
Excellent. And Conan, where can people find you on the Villa podcast?
Yeah, but I think I need another podcast here before I start asking people to come find me after the Love Room one the last day. I don't think I've got enough credit in the bank yet to start begging people to come after me. So I'll give
it's all good. It's all good
podcast, and then I'll make a big sell.
No, sell yourself now. He's selling himself down there. If you get a chance to listen to, it's at the Villa podcast, isn't it?
Good man, Chris.
Yeah. If you get a chance, even if you're not a Villa fan, listen to it. It's really insightful, and the guys do bring up points. Hence the Jamie Carragher chat. Because I cut the clip of it and actually listened to the whole pod after it because it was an interesting one. It wasn't just me listening because Villa had lost. It was that part of it was the most interesting bit, listening to another fan's point of view of what they thought of punditry.
I'm worried that we're getting a bit of an Arsenal fan TV reputation though, because more people listen when we lose. Everyone gets excited about the podcast, and it's like, lads, you know. But it's just like it comes back to punditry as well. Not to drag us back there, but like, you know, don't. And Villa fans have this sort of war going on at the minute, like, you know, about what you can say and what you can't say. And it's like, because I'm criticizing Villa, I'm not saying that Dean Smith needs to go. I'm just watching this game in isolation and saying that was annoying. He should have done better. I'm not trying to draw a conclusion from every single match for the rest of the season. And I think Ali McCoy was the best person that I've heard mentioned here tonight, because he just watches what he's seeing and he's not trying to. Like, you know, we're talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold. Is he going to make it? He's 22. Let's just let him make it or not. Like, you know, when he's doing really well at the minute, we don't need to sum up his life right now. Like, just watch the game and call that and leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, I get the totally opposite of you, because I try and say quite positive about Liverpool. I'm accused then of saying I've never seen the negative. Is I see it, I just don't let it get me down, and I always try and find where it is positive, but. When things are crap, as Paul has seen, and Paul has had many conversations with me, when it is crap, I'm pretty blunt at telling me point of what I think it is.
Yeah.
But I always I've got to the point where I go, you got to have a bit of a laugh about it as well. Football sometimes gets a bit too serious for me, but, you know, that's maybe my problem. And Paul, where can we find you? Because I've had you on twice now, and every time we've done the show, I've gone, oh yeah, I forgot to mention your pod.
I know, yeah. Another strike, mate. You would have been out. no, yeah. So I go on.
So that's all it took.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very minor crimes. So a lot of people will know I'm involved in the music industry and the electronic music industry. You know, I've made music with like the likes of Sasha back in the day, and you know, a load of other things, and I do a lot of like music coaching and stuff like that. So it's very audio related, very geeky, very music production related. So our podcast for my platform, which is called MYT, is called Beyond the Studio, and it's literally having long form conversations with world-class DJs about mental health, about music production, about their journey as artists, what they've learned, what they've picked up over the years. And it goes on for like a couple of hours an episode, so we get to go really deep with a lot of people. So
you're like the Michael Cox of the music world, Paul.
Well, I'm trying to be like Joe Rogan for DJ, so I don't know how successful I'm being at the moment, but there's definitely been more than one talk about very, very special mushrooms, shall we say, but we won't go there.
Well, what a way to leave it. Anyway, listen, thanks to everyone in the chat, and thanks to everyone in the Discord group. Discord, if you're not on the Discord group, please join it. The feedback is great. I'll take any feedback on the show. There is a Friday forecast section, so all feedback is, as long as constructive, quite happy to take it. So coming up this week, we've got Fatback 4 with the usual four guys on Sunday. We will have a forum on Monday, and we will have Jamie's midweek fix on Wednesday, and I'm sure there'll be a carnage in there. But until then, you guys will see Mr. Friday Night next Friday with some more guests. It may even be Paul if he's lucky. Right, until then, see you next Friday.